What is the purpose of the followers of Muhammad in shouting Allahu Akbar when slaughtering other human beings, destroying buildings, and before suicide bombings?
Allahu Akbar is actually made up of two words. Allah, which was the name of the supreme rock god of the pagan Quraysh, Muhammad's tribe, and Akbar, which in Arabic can mean bigger, greater, larger, superior, older, or senior. This is contrary to the assertions by mostly Arabic-speaking ignoramus people that it means greatest, because in Arabic, greatest is Al-Akbar. That is, the adjective must be preceded by the two letters Al. This is the cry of glorification, called takbir. That is, the glorification of Allah, asserting that Allah is greater. Contrary to the general perception inculcated into the minds of unlearned people in the Arabic of the Quran by the followers of Muhammad, this cry was not invented by Muhammad, because it was used by the pagan Arabs long before Muhammad and his Quran. In Ibn Ishaq's Sirat Rasulullah, or Muhammad's biography, pages 62 to 63, titled The Digging of Zamzam, tells us inter alia, while Abdul Muttalib was sleeping in the Hijr, he was ordered in a vision to dig Zamzam. When the exact spot had been indicated to him, he took a pickaxe and began to dig. When the top of the well appeared, he cried, Allahu Akbar. Thus, the Quraysh knew that he had obtained his object. I would like at this moment to bring to the attention of our listeners the following very important points. 1. Allah was the name of the supreme rock god of the pagan Quraysh centuries before Muhammad. 2. Allahu Akbar was recited by the pagan Quraysh centuries before Muhammad and was used to indicate that the God Allah of the Kaaba was greater than all the other 360 gods and goddesses among the pantheon of the rock idols. This pagan tradition too was absorbed, subsumed, and Islamized by Muhammad into his new cult belief system and constantly used as a terrorizing battle cry by him and his followers. In fact, this expression is also used when animals, as well as humans, are being slaughtered. Sahih al-Bukhari 7.472, narrated by Anas. The Prophet offered as sacrifices 2 horned rams, black and white in color. He slaughtered them with his own hands and mentioned Allah's name over them and said takbir and put his foot on their sides. A battle cry is a yell or chant taken up in battle, usually by members of the same military unit. The content and nature of battle cries varies, depending on whether their intent is to threaten, to give courage, invoke a family name or family lands, or call on a god for assistance. These cries can serve many purposes, including inspiring those otherwise inclined to stay back, terrifying the enemy, promoting a sense of unity, as well as communicating to allies that they have support. It serves 3 purposes. 1. To terrorize the enemy before and during an attack. 2. To give an esprit de corps for the fighters. 3. To act as a witness to their beliefs before their death. Sahih Bukhari 5.456. Muhammad led the fear or terror prayer Allahu Akbar with one batch of his army while the other batch faced the enemy. This is called the terror verse by the Muhammadan exegetes. Bukhari Hadith 5.516. When Allah's apostle fought or raided people, we raised our voices saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. None has the right to be worshipped but Allah. This mantra is recited by Muhammadans in numerous and different situations. For example, when they are happy or wish to express approval, when an animal is butchered in a halal fashion, when they want to praise a speaker, in times of extreme stress or euphoria, before attacking an enemy, or even when slaughtering an enemy. It is also recited during each stage of both obligatory prayers, which are supposed to be performed 5 times a day, and the extra performed prayers which are at will. The Muhammadan call to prayer, Adhan, and the commencement prayer, Iqama, also contain the phrase Allahu Akbar, which is heard in cities all over the Muhammadan world. In Arabic, Allahu Akbar is called the takbir, that is, the glorification of Allah. The Quran contains 109 verses that call Muslims to war with unbelievers, 80% of unsuspecting humanity. Some are quite graphic, with commands to chop off heads and fingers, and kill the infidels wherever they may be hiding. Muslims who do not join the fight are called hypocrites and warned that Allah will send them to hell if they do not participate in the slaughter. These verses are mostly open-ended, meaning that they are not embedded within a historical context, unlike nearly all of the biblical verses of violence. They are part of the eternal, unchanging word of Allah, and just as relevant or subjective as anything else in the Quran. Unfortunately, there are very few verses of tolerance and peace to abrogate or even balance out the many that call for non-believers to be fought and subdued until they either accept humiliation, convert to Islam, or are killed. This proclivity towards violence and Muhammad's own martial tradition have resulted in a trail of blood and millions of bodies across world history. In conclusion, in fact and in reality, the expression Allahu Akbar was to assert that Allah, the name of the supreme rock god of the Quraysh, was greater than all of the other 360 stone or rock gods and goddesses in the Kaaba. It is an expression of relativity. Ladies and gentlemen, so-called believers and unbelievers, the people did not hijack the cult of Muhammadan Islam. It is the cult of Muhammadan Islam that has hijacked the people. 1400 years later, in the 21st century, the modern followers of Muhammad use exactly the same terror verse as they slaughter, bomb, hijack, and blow unarmed and innocent civilians all over the globe, and make sure that the medium of television is there to have the whole world as witness to their mind-boggling barbarity and cowardice.